Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reckless Paradise podcast. I am your host, Dystro, and welcome to the first official episode of August. Happy August, everyone. We have 4 months left. That is crazy. This year has gone by so freaking fast. Um, so, tonight's episode is a new series I want to try here on the Reckless Paradise podcast channel. It is called Deep Dive, or I want to call it Career Highlights or Career Dive. Let me know what you guys think of the name in the comments below. But we are going to be calling this Deep Dive. And what that is like we go, diving into a certain wrestler or tag team, maybe mostly wrestler, single or tag team, whatever. And we just go over their when they were born, their accomplishments, what they've done for the business, like if they've been in a lot of companies or not. But tonight's debut episode, is of one Paul Michael Levesque, or as we know him as Triple H. This man has just celebrated his 56th birthday, so congrats to Triple H. Happy birthday. He was born on 27th of July, 1969, nice, in New Hampshire. The occupations that he has now is business executive, professional wrestler, and he is an actor. Yes, he is acting. His active years for certain things. He started wrestling in 1992, and he finished up in 2022. A good 20-year 30-year span. I'm sorry, 30-year span of wrestling, which is very, very decorated. He started acting in 1998. He finished up in 2017, and now he is the chief chief operating officer over the WWE as of right now. He started doing that in 2010, and he's now the, like I said, he's the COO of WWE today. And he is married to Stephanie McMahon. He is part of the McMahon family. He's been married to her since 2003. I almost said 2013, 2003. And they have 3 kids together, which is really impressive. And bless them for putting up with a lot of their stuff nowadays. So he had some different ring names along his career. Most notably is Triple H, obviously. But before he became Triple H, the game Triple H, he was known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, John Paul Levesque, Paul Triple H Levesque, terrorizing, and terrorizing. There's a lot of different verbiage for the terrorizing thing, and most notably Triple H. He is 6'4", which is crazy. He's the same height as me. 255 pounds. He was built from Boston, Massachusetts, Greenwich, Connecticut, and then France with the John Paul Levesque gimmick that he had in WCW. He was trained by Kurt Kowalski. He debuted on 24th of March, 1992, and he retired on April 2nd of 2022. Which is, like I said, it's a historic career, for so many different reasons. So, let's kind of go deep dive, no pun intended, but diving into his career when he first started to where he is now. So, Levesque began his wrestling career in 1992 under the ring name Terra Rising. It is Terra, and then Rising is Ryzing, and gained his first mainstream exposure in WCW in 1994, becoming known as John Paul Levesque. In 1995, he signed with the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, now WWE, and became known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which was later shortened to Triple H. In WWF, he gained fame during the Attitude Era as the member of the Clique, which was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac, Shot Woman. And he was also a co-founder of the D Generation X DX. He is a 14-time world champion in WWE, having won the WWF/WWE Championship 9 times and a World Heavyweight Championship 5 times. He is also a 5-time Intercontinental Champion, a 1-time Tag Team Champion with Shawn Michaels, and a 2-time World Tag Team Champion, once each with Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is also a 1997 King of the Ring winner, 2002 and 2016 Royal Rumble winner, the 7th Triple Crown winner, and the 2nd Grand Slam winner. He has also headlined multiple WWE pay-per-view events, including its flagship annual event, WrestleMania, 7 times, which includes Mania 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 25, and 32. In 2022, he retired from working as an in-ring competitor due to health concerns, but remains active as an executive role. Through his marriage to Stephanie McMahon, he is a member of the McMahon family, which had a controlling interest over WWE until its sale to Endeavor in 2023. Levesque has garnered praise for his behind-the-scenes work within the promotion, which includes creating the acclaimed developmental branch NXT, which is the best NXT that they had, elevating female wrestlers to the level of their male counterparts, and spearheading WWE's international expansion with concepts such as Clash of the Castle and NXT UK. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame's 2019 class as part of D Generation X, and was inducted for his individual career in the class of this year. Outside of wrestling, he has appeared in acting with roles in Blade Trinity, which is it's a good movie for the wrong reasons, and The Chaperone 2011. So, it's like this dude, he's done everything. He's literally did like a lot of stuff. He's had like the best, like, I'm not gonna try to say like the best evolution in wrestling, which he still has, but like he kind of, when he first came into WCW, he was there for like a cup of coffee, and then he went to the WWF and he changed his name and he had his prominence there. And plus he had like a lot of accolades to back it up. And he, I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe him. He is a game changer. I would say that. I think without like him being in the Attitude Era, it's like without Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Kane, without some of these prominent figures within the Attitude Era, I don't think Triple H would have, I think, stride in the Attitude Era. Cause like when when he first came in, he was doing like new generation stuff, and he had kind of a winning streak when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And then when he did the D-Generation X stuff and kind of just did his own thing with that group, it's like it kind of elevated his superstardom a little bit. But then like when it kind of really hit, it was kind of like during like 2000 when he was like pushed into the main event scene, and he was like the next big draw, like with Rock and Austin and Taker, and Shawn Michaels, I think, at that matter too. But yeah, it's kind of like without him, I don't think he would have been doing very much. But let's go into like some of his earlier life. So Levesque was born in New Hampshire in 1969. He has a sister named Lynn. His first experience of watching a professional wrestling was seeing a match featuring Chief J Strongbow as a child, and he took up bodybuilding at the age of 14 because he wanted to look like professional wrestlers he saw. He graduated in 1987 from Nashua High School, where he played basketball and baseball. That's crazy. He continued to enter bodybuilding competitions, and he won the 1988 Mr. Teenage New Hampshire competition at the age of 19. While working as the manager of a gym in Nashua, he was introduced to champion powerlifter and professional wrestler Ted Arcady, okay, who was signed to the WWE at the time. After numerous attempts, he persuaded Ted to introduce him to the wrestler Killer Kowalski, who ran a professional wrestling school in Medlin, Massachusetts. Which Killer Kowalski is like, he's like one of those people that, like, if you go under his wing, it's like he will literally tell you, like, and he will train you like how he got trained. Um, and some of these people like that trained under him are like big nowadays too. For some examples here is Triple H, China, rest in peace, Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian, Kofi Kingston, Damian Sandow, Fandango, John Cronus, rest in peace, Perry Saturn, and Tommaso Ciampa. Those are just to name a few of the people that he's trained under his wing. And like that's a stat, like kind of like a list of people that he hasn't had under his wing. So in the early 1990s, Levesque began to train as a professional wrestler at Killer Kowalski School in Medlin. Malden. His classmates feature future WF wrestlers China, who would later date, and Perry Saturn. He made his wrestling debut under the ring name Terror Rising, a play on terrorizing, in Kowalski's International Wrestling Federation, or IWF, in March 24th, 1992, defeating Tony Roy. What a name. In July of 92, he defeated Mad Dog Richard, also what a name, to win the IWF Heavyweight Championship, managed by John Rodeo. That's another good name. He wrestled for various promotions on the East Coast independent circuit until 1993. Then in early 1994, Levesque signed a one-year contract for wrestling for the WCW. Like I said, he was there for like a cup of coffee, and then he was out of there. His first televised match was debuted as a villain named Terror Rising, defeating Keith Cole. And for those of you who do not know who Keith Cole is, they were Keith and Kent Cole. They were twins. During the early 1990s, during their stay in WCW, they feuded with several tag teams, including the Wrecking Crew, Rage and Fury, Harlem Heat, Booker and Stevie Ray, and the Hollywood Blondes, Brian Pillman and Steve Austin. Just a little tidbit there. His rename would soon be modified to Terra Rising, which he used until he was renamed Jean-Paul Levesque in mid-1994. This gimmick referred to his real surname's French origins, and he was asked to speak with a French accent as he could not speak French. He began using what he would become a popular finishing maneuver, the pedigree, during this time. Levesque had a brief feud with Alex Wright that ended on December 27th at Starrcade, with Wright pinning him. Between late 1994 and early 95, Levesque briefly teamed with English wrestler Lord Steven Regal, whose upper-class British gimmick was similar to Levesque's character. In real life, they became close friends, and Regal would serve as his right-hand man behind the scenes in WWE decades later, which is true. The tag team was short-lived as Levesque left for WWE, then WWF, in early 95 after he and WCW could not come to terms with a new contract. And then, rest is history in WWE, but I am going to go over it a little bit more. In a modified version of his gimmick in WCW, Levesque started his WWF career as a Connecticut Blue Blood. According to Levesque, J.J. Dillon, who is over WCW, like head of creative sometimes, J.J. Dillon originally gave him the name of Reginald DuPont Helmsley, but Levesque asked for a name to play on the first letters, and management ultimately agreed to his suggestion of Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He appeared in taped vignettes in which he talked about how to use proper etiquette up until his wrestling debut on the April 30th episode of Wrestling Challenge, defeating Buck Zimhole. Helmsley made his wrestling pay-per-view debut, on August 27th at SummerSlam, defeating Bob Holly. Hardcore Holly. Helmsley remained undefeated during the early months of his career, suffering his first pinfall loss at the hands of The Undertaker in a Survivor Series match at the namesake event. In the fall of '95, Helmsley began a feud with hog farmer Henry O. Godwin, or Hog, whom he defeated in the infamous hog pin match at the December pay-per-view of In Your House 5 Season Beatings. After being highly promoted in the first few months of his career, or of his debut, his career stalled in early '96, starting off with a feud with Duke the Dumpster Droese, following a loss during the free-for-all at the '96 Royal Rumble. Up till that event, his angle included appearing on television every week with different female valet, which included female playmates Shay Marks and Taylor John. It was during this time that Helmsley suffered his first singles loss in competition in WWF against Bret Hart on the March 4th episode of Raw. Sable would become Helmsley's valet at WrestleMania 12 on March 31st, and after his loss to the Ultimate Warrior. As a part of the storyline, he took his aggressions out on her. They debuting, Mark Merrill, her real-life wife, or real-life husband, came to her rescue, and a feud began between those two. He was known backstage as a member of the Clique, alongside Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, and Scott Hall, a group known for influencing Vince McMahon and a creative team. It was widely believed that he was scheduled to win the '96 King of the Ring, but the victory was instead awarded to Stone Cold Steve Austin at the infamous Curtain Call event, which was a huge uproar, a huge breaking kayfabe thing. So what it was is like all the members of the Clique broke character openly in front of fans after saying goodbye to the departing Hall and Nash, because Hall and Nash, they were going over to WCW because they were leaving, and despite the punishment, Helmsley did have success following the incident. Mr. Perfect became his manager, and he won the IC Championship for the very first time, defeating Mark Merrill. But in doing so, when it said, '96 would go into the '96 King of the Ring event was going to Stone Cold Steve Austin, it was because '96 was supposed to be Helmsley's year. But despite the curtain call happening, they kind of was like, nope. And they just gave it to Stone Cold Steve Austin, which makes sense. It's pretty good little history there. When Mr. Perfect left the WWF, his departure was explained to be a result of Helmsley turning his back on the manager as soon as he won the Intercontinental Championship. Helmsley held the title for 4 months, but then dropped it to Rocky Maivia, Mr. Rock himself, on Raw Thursday. A special episode of Raw that aired on February 13th, 1997. For a very brief time, Helmsley was accompanied by Mr. Huge, who was this big, huge, black, fat guy, who was in his storyline bodyguard, reminiscent of Ted DiBiase and Virgil. After losing the title, he feuded with Goldust, defeating him on March 23rd at WrestleMania 13, and during the feud, Chyna had debuted as his new bodyguard. Helmsley in '97 was being highlighted again, winning the '97 King of the Ring that year, defeating Mankind in the finals. Later that year, Shawn Michaels, Helmsley, Chyna, and Rick Rude formed D-Generation X, DX. This stable became known for pushing the envelope, as Michaels and Helmsley made risque promos using the catchphrase "suck it" and a crotch chop hand motion, and sarcastically derided Bret Hart in Canada. By that point, Helmsley had all but dropped the blue blood snob gimmick, appearing in t-shirts and leather jackets. During this period, his ring name was shortened to Triple H, though he was still called Helmsley from time to time and Hunter for the rest of his career. Even after DX's feud with the Hart Foundation storyline ended, he continued to feud with the sole remaining Hart family member Owen over the European Championship, which Helmsley won by defeating, in air quotes, Michaels after Michaels laid down for him on December 11th, which aired on the December 22nd episode of Raw is War. Triple H lost the title to Hart after the artist formerly known as Goldust competed against Hart in drag as Triple H on the episode 22nd of January episode of Raw is War. Triple H defeated Hart to win his second European Championship on the March 16th episode at WrestleMania 14. On March 29th, Triple H defended the championship against Hart in a rematch with the stipulation that Chyna had to be handcuffed to then Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter, which Triple H won after Chyna threw powder in Sergeant Slaughter's eyes. Then, at that Mania, Shawn was forced into temporary retirement due a legitimate back injury, which kept him out until 2002. This was like 4 years later. And then Triple H took over the role of leader in D-Generation X. Then he introduced X-Pac to the group and then joined forces with the New Age Outlaws. And then they became this, unstoppable faction. So then at the time you had Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn, and Chyna at the helm. And they were feuding with the Nation Domination at that time, which was The Rock, D'Lo Brown, awesome, Kama Mustafa, and I think Mark Henry at the time, which is crazy to look at. So then it kind of goes on to him like being like this multiple time like some of the different feuds that he had, like with the one with The Rock, one with Kane, going after Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event scene with Mankind and all that stuff. And then you have the infamous moment of him beating the bejesus out of Vince McMahon at 2000's Armageddon, or the 99 Armageddon show. It was like no holds barred and all that stuff, and this was like when they did the kayfabe wedding of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, which actually happened in real life. Like they were dating and all that stuff, and then Chyna was kind of like pushed out of the picture, which kind of sucks, and it's kind of like rest is history there, and then you go into 2000s, which is the McMahon Helmsley era of that year, or of 2000 going into 2001. He had nicknamed himself the Game after stating he was above the top of the wrestling world, not as merely the best in the game, but in fact the game itself. It nicknamed himself the Cerebral Assassin, or he was nicknamed the Cerebral Assassin by Jim Ross. On the July 3rd, 2000 episode of Raw is War, Triple H defeated Big Show to win his third WWF Championship. This is the, it was like when they did, like, I'm trying not to think, like, it's going to be a hot potato or anything, but, like, they were passing it between, like, Triple H and Rock and Angle, and then, like, they did Stone Cold for a little bit, and then, like, Big Show had won it, and then, like, and then Triple H won it back and all that stuff. It was just, like, lots of, like, hot potato. And then we go into the Mick Foley Triple H feud, which is, like, one of the best fucking feuds, I think, in the Attitude Era, like, itself. Because Triple H and Mick Foley had faced each other 2 times up to this point. They fought in the street fight at the Royal Rumble that year, and then they fought in Hell in a Cell at No Way Out that year too, and forced Foley to retire. And then Foley got brought back for WrestleMania 2000, lol, like retired lol. And he was in a 4-way with Triple H, Rock, and Show. And I'm not gonna lie, that 4-way was not, it was okay. I think like the best like match, I guess, or matches I would say, was like the Triangle Ladder match that year, and then the triple threat between Angle, Benoit, and Jericho. So then goes into the feud with Rock a little bit more, and then he entered a storyline with Chris Jericho, which was like a really good feud too. Like it got Chris over as a babyface. And then he goes into the feud with Kurt Angle that year. Um, then like he had a brief run as a face at No Mercy when he defeated Chris Benoit, which is kind of cool. Um, and then like he goes back to being heel again because he wanted Stone Cold gone. Because then he paid Rikishi to run him over, and it's like, I did that for The Rock, that whole shit show moment. And let's just say the rest is history up to this point. He's had like a lot of feuds with a lot of different people. I'm not gonna try to go into that whole thing. But I will go over some of his movie credits and his TV credits, and also the video game credits, because there is a lot of video game credits. But I will go one by one with the film, TV, and games. So in the film thing, we have Blade Trinity, Relative Strangers, Chaperone, Inside Out, the Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery, which is crazy, the WWE Power Series, the Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon, and then Surfs Up to Wave Mania. Like, okay. Television side, we have Pacific Blue, The Drew Carey Show, Grown Ups, which that's not the Adam Sandler movie. It is a sitcom series. Oh, cool. It's starring Julia White. That's interesting. The Weakest Link, Mad TV, Bernie Mac Show, which that is actually a good one. Robot Chicken in '09, and then Billionaires in 2023. Now, in the video games thing, he's in a lot of video games, so I'm not gonna try to go over a lot of them, but I will go over some of them that I know. So we have WWF Warzone, Attitude, WrestleMania 2000, the first SmackDown, No Mercy, which best game, SmackDown 2, Know Your Role, SmackDown Just Bring It, WWF Raw, Crush Hour, Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, Day of Reckoning, Day of Reckoning 2, SVR 06, 07, 08, 09, Legends of WrestleMania, SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, 11, WWE All Stars 20 or WWE 12, WWE 13, 2K14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2K Battlegrounds, 2K22, 23, 24, in the most recent game 25. That is just to name a few. But he is also like he's just in everything. He is in everything that is a video game that is WWE branded. Oh, okay. So we have gone through all the filmography stuff. But I'm gonna go over the championships and accomplishments that he's had in his whole career. But this one is kind of interesting. This one is from CBS Sports. This is worst angle of the year in 2018. It was with Shawn Michaels versus almost says Chris Benoit. Wow. Shawn Michaels versus Taker and Kane. This led to the Crown Jewel match. That was D-Generation X versus Brothers of Destruction. Which is, I'm like, okay. It was not the best match in the world, but come on, you didn't have to put it at the worst angle of the world. IWF credits, one-time IWF World Heavyweight Champion and a one-time IWF Tag Team Champion with Perry Saturn, which is interesting. Now we're going into PWI. Okay, PWI stuff. Okay. Feud of the Year in 2000 with Kurt Angle. Makes sense. Feud of the Year in 04 with Chris Benoit. That makes sense. Feud of the Year in 09 with Randy Orton. Okay, that kind of makes sense too. Feud of the Year with 2013 with Daniel Bryan as a member of the Authority. That was actually a good feud. That was a good feud that happened that year. Match of the Year in 2004 with Chris Benoit versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 20. Match of the Year in 2012 versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 29. Or no, 28. I'm sorry, 28. Yeah, that was 28. I got that mixed up, sorry. Most hated wrestler of the decade, which was from 2000 to 2009. That is crazy. Most hated wrestler of the year in 2003 to 2005. Most hated wrestler of the year in 2013, 2014. Wrestler of the decade from 2000 to 2009. Wrestler of the year in 2008. He ranked number one in the top 500 singles of the PWI 500 in 2000 and 2009, which not a lot of people can do nowadays. Ranked 139 in the top 500 singles wrestlers of the PWI years in 2003. Sports Illustrated ranked number 7 of the 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time, which that makes sense too. Okay, now going into WWF and WWE championships and accomplishments here. So we have the WWE/WWE Championship 9 times, World Heavyweight Championship 5 times, 5-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time European Champion, 1-time WWE Tag Team Champion Shawn Michaels, 2-time WWF Champion, Tag Team Champion with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, 97 King of the Ring, Royal Rumble winner for 2002 and 2016, the Road to WrestleMania tournament in 06, 7 Triple Crown champion, 2nd Grand Slam champion, and 3 Slamming awards. The first one was Best Hair in 97, which that's an award. Oh My God Moment of the Year in 2011, which was Taker kicks out of a Tombstone Piledriver by Triple H at WrestleMania 28. And then Match of the Year was the, 27, I'm sorry, that was 2011, 27. Match of the Year in 2012 was the Hell in a Cell Taker and Triple H match at 28 that year. 2-time Hall of Famer, which he freaking deserves it. Wrestling Observer newsletter, Best Booker in 2015, Best Booker in 2023 and 2024. Feud of the Year in 2000 with Mick Foley, Feud of the Year in 2004 with Benoit and Michaels, Feud of the Year of 2005 with Batista, Wrestler of the Year in 2000, Most Disgusting Promotional Tactic in 2000, which was accusing Kane of murder and necrophilia, which was the Katie Vick storyline. Most overrated from 2002 to 2004 and 2009. Reader's least favorite wrestler in 2002 and 2003. 2002's worst feud of the year was Kane, or of course, obviously. Worst feud of the year in 2006 was D-Generation X versus the McMahons. Worst feud of the year in 2011 versus Kevin Nash. Makes sense. Worst feud of the year in 2013 was part of the member of the Authority versus Big Show, which that was a god-awful feud. Worst worked match of the year in 2003 versus Scott Steiner at Royal Rumble, which that makes sense because Scott Steiner was he hated Triple H. He really hated him. He will go on and shoot interviews and he will tell you up and down he hates that fucking son of a bitch. Worst worked match of the year in 2008 was versus Edge and Vladimir Kozlov. Remember him at Survivor Series that year. And then the worst worked match of the 2018s was D-Generation X versus Taker and Kane. And then Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame class of 2005. This was actually kind of like a good look into the career of Triple H. There's a lot of stuff that I probably didn't really go over because we were kind of like not stressed for time, but it's just I wanted you guys to go look at it for yourselves. And just read up on his history, the legacy in wrestling, the business career stuff, philanthropy, and all that stuff. But that is the end of this episode. I really do appreciate you guys for listening and or watching the video. If you made it to the very end of this video, please make sure to follow us on all social media links in the description below, which will take you to our link tree, which will take you to our Twitter pages, Instagram pages, the podcast Reddit page. I gave YouTube channels on there. Currently trying to get back to 1550, and currently trying to get to 1600. But we are still a long ways away. We are 4 months away, so hopefully we can get to 1600 by the end of the year. Hopefully, please, for the love of God, please. And tonight's song of the night, it is what is it? Oh, that's it. It is the Paradox. It is called Bender. There is a music video for it, and it does feature Travis Barker of Blink-182. It is a very cool music video, and it is a really good song. Hopefully, you guys will really appreciate it. We do not disappoint you guys on this channel when it comes to our music choices. But yeah, that is it. And I will see you guys next Thursday. Peace!